Before Lagos roared awake, before the Danfos filled the air with horns and fumes, Julian Cole was already standing by the glass wall of his penthouse, staring at a city that had never loved him back. His reflection merged with the glittering skyline, yet the silence inside was heavier than the golden lamps, the imported leather, the untouched wine on the marble table. His phone glowed with another headline, "The Cold Billionaire. Still no heir at 37. He smirked bitterly. Success tasted like ash. Every deal, every empire brick came at a price. His personal life was an empty hull echoing with ghosts, one ghost in particular. A mistake buried 6 years ago in a small hospital corridor when fear made him choose money over love. "Sir, the supermarket's ready," his driver announced. Julian forced a thin smile. Grocery shopping for his foundation's charity program. A PR stunt, nothing more. Or so he thought. The supermarket hummed with life. At the far end of aisle 7, near the bread section, a little boy lifted his head. Their eyes met. Julian froze. The child's face, his face, stared back at him. Before now, Julian's life wasn't always this way. At 10, he slept under a leaking zinc roof in Adjagunal, rain dripping into an empty pot while his mother whispered, "One day, we'll eat more than Gary, my son." She died too early. At 18, he curled on a shop floor clutching torn textbooks. At 21, he met Mary, a nursing student who saw his hunger and shared her last meat pie. They dreamed together under streetlights of a life built on love, not survival. But life demanded sacrifice. When Mary got pregnant, Julian panicked. A foreign investor threatened to kill his deal if there was distraction. So Julian made the cruelest choice, left her at the hospital with an envelope and a lie. "I'll come back." He never did. It was under the cracked ceiling of St. Matthew's Church that Mary first noticed him. She in her nurse's uniform, clutching a hymn book. He just a dreamer with soft eyes. They prayed together, scribbled plans on old receipts, whispered promises under mango trees. Her hope was simple, love strong enough to survive hunger. But hunger chews dreams. One dawn, she woke to absence and betrayal. Now, in a bright supermarket, years later, Mary stood counting coins for bread, exhaustion etched deep from double shifts. Toby tugged her wrapper. "Mummy, can I get the blue biscuit?" She smiled weakly. Behind her, Julian stood frozen, like a ghost dragged into daylight. He followed them to the counter. The boy, his mirror, asked for chocolate, but Mary shook her head. Julian stepped forward and paid for everything. Mary spun around, eyes blazing. "You think you can fix the past with bread?" Julian had no words, only guilt drowning him. Later, he begged for a meeting at a quiet Victoria Island restaurant. "Let me explain, Mary." She listened, jaw tight. Then the truth slipped out. Julian's brother, Richard, bribed her doctor years ago, convincing her Julian never wanted the child. Richard feared scandal would ruin the coal empire's first big deal. Mary's world shattered all over again. "You both chose power over a child," she whispered, tears burning her cheeks. She left him there as Lagos rain slapped the streets like angry applause. Julian returned home, soul on fire. For the first time, his empire felt like a cage. He called his lawyer, start liquidation. Quietly, "I'm pulling out of the coal group." He sold a property, created a trust fund for single mothers, and set up a scholarship in Mary's name, silently, without credit. Cleared the hospital debt she still carried. At night, he stared at Toby's photo on his phone. Same eyes, same blood. He whispered, "I'll never force him to call me father, but I'll make the world softer for him." When Richard mocked him at a board meeting, "Seems our golden boy lost his shine," Julian entered calm as water. "The coal empire is yours now, Richard. I'm out, but the audit committee will love the files I sent about the offshore accounts." Gasps filled the room. Richard's smirk collapsed. Cameras flashed as Julian walked out, not as a king, but as a free man. Weeks later, Richard faced charges. Tabloids devoured him. Julian? He was at a small clinic in Suralire, funding vaccines under an alias. By accident, Mary arrived with Toby. Their eyes met, not as lovers, but as two people scarred and softened by time. Toby ran to the swing outside, laughter ringing through the dusty air. For the first time in years, Julian laughed too, quiet, raw, real. Mary said softly, "He doesn't need a billionaire. Just a man who keeps his word." Julian nodded. "Then let me start now." That evening, Grace's small house smelled of jollof. The old woman smiled faintly. "So, the prodigal son returns. No drama, just food and space." They sat at a wooden table, sharing a simple meal. Toby fell asleep on Julian's lap, crumbs on his chin. Julian whispered, "I can't erase the past. But if you let me, I'll build a future where love costs nothing." Mary didn't answer with words. She just placed her hand gently over his. Silence, for the first time, felt like forgiveness. The camera pulled back. Outside, Lagos buzzed with noise, but inside the small room, peace finally breathed.